What's good in the hood? What's popping? What's tea? It's your favorite baby mama, Zabadu, and I am back, you guys. All right, I'm here with a podcast episode, and I'm going to be talking about something that I wanted to talk about for a couple years. Um, but sometimes I felt like I didn't have the right words. I didn't know if it was the right time. But fuck it, now it's the right time. All right. So in today's episode, we're gonna get into some things, some things, some things. I'm gonna be talking about my miscarriage experience. All right. So we're gonna get into a lot of things in this episode, y'all. I had to put down some quick notes because I'm quick to like get off topic. Hopefully this kind of hopefully this kind of helps me stay on track with everything. All right, so let's just jump into it, okay? Miscarriages, right? This is a very deep topic. For some people it's not, for some people it is. For me, a while ago, this was a very deep topic to talk about. So this is just a trigger warning for any mothers or just women in general that have experienced miscarriages or women that have friends that have experienced miscarriages, but you were also affected, by it because your good Judy went through something. So that's just a quick trigger warning for anyone that may be listening. But so I got pregnant, I want to say December, January of 2020. Um, just real quick, I don't remember all of the dates, okay? All right. I remember them dates like that, girl. We ain't finna get into all that. But that's when I think I got pregnant. So I remember that the person I was with, we had a few pregnancy scares. I knew that I didn't want to be pregnant. I knew that I didn't want to have any children, but I still wasn't protecting myself. I was still being pretty irresponsible sexually. So I guess you could say I wanted to have a child, right? Because I wasn't taking all of the steps to make sure that I wasn't gonna become pregnant. Anyway, I became pregnant. So it wasn't, to me, it wasn't that big of a shock because, like I said prior to, we had a couple pregnancy scares. So it wasn't very shocking for us to hear this news. But I was actually pretty okay with it. I'm gonna say at that time, my then partner, um, I can't say. I don't know if he was. It was kind of vague. I can't say he was happy. He was indifferent. He was upset. I don't really know. It was like he had his moments where he was happy. He had moments where he didn't really talk about it. All right, so I was the pregnancy. So I didn't experience a lot of morning sickness. I don't remember having a lot of morning sickness. I remember eating a lot. I was working at I was working at St. Vincent's Hospital, and I was working for EBS, like so I was like a housekeeper. So I remember I always had an appetite, and I was the type of girl like I never had an appetite. I never really wanted to eat. I pick and chose when I wanted to eat. I snacked around a little bit because I didn't really gain a lot of weight, but at that time I was pigging out. Mind you, my partner knew that at the time, but they didn't say anything. So I feel like, they said this, but they suspected that I was pregnant, but they didn't really know, right? They wasn't for sure. So like I said, I didn't have a lot of morning sickness, but I was eating a lot. So let's just jump in. Let's keep going. I don't 100% remember being completely stressed out during that first pregnancy. I may have to make a part two. I don't know. I don't remember being completely stressed out. Um, but I was pretty stressed. So let's just go ahead and skip to it. In March. Again, y'all, this is kind of like I'm just doing this. Okay, I didn't plan this. This is just I'm doing it. It's like 12 o'clock at night, literally 12 p.m. So everything is not registering in my mind right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and get into the nights or the night prior or the night leading up to me actually miscarrying the baby. So, I woke up one night. I was having severe cramps in my stomach. It was pretty, no, actually, I didn't move too quick. You know what I'm saying? A week, a week prior to that, I had stopped feeling pregnant. The only thing that made me feel pregnant was the fact that I had food aversions. That was it. I didn't have morning sickness. I wasn't throwing up. I just ate a lot of food. I was always hungry, but I had a lot of food aversions. The smell of things, the look, the taste of things made me sick. So I just stopped having food aversions and I kind of stopped feeling pregnant. So I told my partner that I'm like, I'm not really feeling pregnant right now. Like, I don't know what's going on. I just don't feel pregnant anymore. I feel pretty normal. I don't know what's going on. Okay, whatever. So the night before, um, like I said, I was having some cramping. I just woke up. It was really late at night. If I can remember, I think it was around, it could have been between 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. I mean, 3 a.m. So I woke up having some strange cramping. I said something to my partner. I'm like, I don't know, something's not right. I've never cramped like this before. And then I think I started bleeding. And when he saw the blood, that's when he got up and, he was like, no, we're going to go to the hospital. That part kind of surprised me because he was pretty nonchalant throughout my pregnancy. We're just going to be honest here. So he had his moments, but he was pretty nonchalant throughout my pregnancy. So it kind of surprised me when he was like, oh no, like we need to jump up. Let's go ahead and go to the hospital. So no, actually, we're gonna take it back. We're gonna take it back. We're gonna take it back. Prior to all of this happening, I just want to mention that me and this person, my partner that I'm speaking of, we had gotten into a physical altercation prior to, right? This individual had put hands on me prior to all of this happening. So I just want to say that. And if I need to go make another podcast episode and talk about that, I will and I would. But I just want y'all to remember that. Keep that in the back of your head because that's a big part of why a lot of this happened. Okay. So yeah, I had some bleeding. We ended up going to the hospital. So I actually went to UAB. At the time, I was going to St. Vincent's for my paternal care. Um, but I think I just went to UAB emergency room. So during that time, that's when C-19 was first, I guess, coming out, or the rest of us were really paying attention to what was going on. This was right before the lockdown, like in the early stages of lockdown. So we went to the hospital and they were pretty upset with me actually for coming in. I remember um, the nurses really didn't want to let me back there um, in the emergency department for pregnant women. You know, looking back on it, I guess I want to have an understanding for them because it's like, oh, it was the early stages of C-19. Everyone was pretty scared. But at the same time, it was ridiculous the way that they treated me. I had to overly explain myself. I'm like, listen, I'm bleeding right now. So I've never been pregnant before. Maybe you deal with multiple women coming in every day complaining about things that you think aren't that serious, but this is pretty serious to me. This is my first pregnancy. I'm bleeding. I'm having severe cramps. I want to know if my baby is okay. I want to know if I'm okay. So after pleading and damn near begging, I finally was seen in the back. It took them forever to come and see me. I remember the nurses, the OB, whoever, they were pretty upset with me. They even asked me, well, why did you come in? You were only cramping. That's usually people don't come in for that. And again, I explained to them, well, this is my first pregnancy. I wouldn't know. I would think to come in for something like that. Long story short, I continued to bleed. They um they checked my uterus and not my uterus. We did an ultrasound. So that was, I got a chance to see the baby. The baby was about 10 weeks at that time. That was the first time my partner got a chance to see the baby on an ultrasound. Like physically being there. Um, and we kind of just we went home. Um, that was it. The day just kind of went by. The next day kind of went by. Then that night, the same thing happened. I woke up, extreme cramps at this point. Like I'm pretty much feeling like I'm about to pass out, literally. So I'm bleeding again. Actually, no, 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 no. I think I'm leaving something out. Yeah, okay. So again, I was bleeding. This time the bleeding was extremely heavy. So I told my partner, I was like, I think I'm having a miscarriage. And like I said, this man was extremely nonchalant throughout my pregnancy. So he was like, no, you're not. And I'm like, yes, I am. I think I'm miscarrying this baby because I don't feel pregnant and I'm bleeding and I'm cramping really bad. So, and WebMD, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I Googled it and this is what they said. But despite what Google said, that is how I felt. Literally, that's how I felt. Like, I was like, no, I think I'm losing this baby. So I kept saying that. He was really upset. He was like, why are you saying that? Like, don't say that. We got in the car, we prayed together, literally. He was like, no, we're gonna pray, we're gonna be positive, like blah 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 blah. So again, we go to the hospital. I go back to UAB. um I get checked in. At this point I'm crying, right? I'm in so much pain I can barely stand up. There's blood on their floor. I'm bleeding so much that little drops and tricklets and trails of blood are in my room, right? Are in my room. They're all it's all over the bathroom floor, all over my room. It's a mess. Um, the nurses were upset. They were disgusted. How? What the fuck? It's blood out here in the hallway. Yeah, girl. I'm bleeding out my pussy. What you expect, mama? Like, come on. I was treated disgusting. I just want to say that. I want to say that. Okay. I sat there for a long time. They gave me the little hospital gown. I put that on. I got in the bed, laid in the little bed or whatever. It took them forever to actually see me. Um, we did a ultrasound. This time around, they did a vaginal ultrasound. Um, I got wheeled to the back. Okay, so mind you, I still had on the outfit that I had on at home. So whatever I had on at home is what I still had on, like my top. But I didn't have on any underwear or pants or whatever, and I just had a blanket wrapped over me. I was wheeled to a room, um, for ultrasounds or whatever, like an X-ray room. And the young lady, I don't remember her name, and I wish I could remember her name, but she was heaven sent. She was a beautiful spirited young lady, and I just really, really, really appreciated her because she was the only person that treated me like a human being. She was the only person that actually cared about me during that process. And let me tell you how. I'm sitting on a bed in a pool of dry and wet blood, right? This woman gave me new, even though I was going to get them bloody again, it didn't matter. She gave me new, fresh, warm sheets to replace on my bed, right? She also gave me wipes. I didn't get any wipes in my room. None of that. None of that shit. I had to use a tissue, bitch, and wet it up a little bit. Wet that motherfucker. Make my own motherfucking wet wipe. Anyway, she gave me wipes. She gave me a sanitary napkin. She gave me all those things. She even helped me wipe myself where I couldn't even see. I was standing in the bathroom and I was crying my eyes out. And she was like, it's okay. You know, here are some disposable underwear. Here's a pad. Put this on. Um, when we're done with the ultrasound, this is what's gonna happen. I'm gonna give you a new blanket. Da, 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 da. Girl, I'm talking about this woman was an angel. I'm like, listen. And I was just asking her questions. I'm like, well, can you tell me what's going on? And she was being honest with me, like, well, I can't really tell you. I can just do this ultrasound. I can't tell you if you had the miscarriage or not. That would be something that the nurses or, like, the OB or the practitioner, I guess, whatever the name is, would tell you when you get back to the room. But, she was so sweet. She held my hand the entire time. I was crying my eyeballs out. I was so fucking scared, y'all. And my nurses treated me like shit. Even if I couldn't, like, necessarily, they didn't want me to, like, I don't know who the fuck wouldn't want you to clean up, because I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, maybe they didn't want me to clean up, or I don't know. Child, they didn't give me wipes. They didn't give me any sanitary napkins or anything. So I just really appreciate her for that. Long story short, I went back to the room after that. I stayed there for hours and hours and hours and hours. By that time, my partner had left. He said that he had to go to work. We're going to talk about that next, but he had to go to work or whatever. So I ended up being left there by myself. I waited hours and hours and hours to actually hear back and for them to tell me what was going on. So the nurse, one of the nurses, she walks in and she sits on the OB, like the head nurse or whatever. Girl, I'm not good with these motherfucking names. Don't come for me. All right. Anyway, so she walks in and she walks in with the nurse that was also helping her. Mind you, these two women were the same women I saw the day previous, right? And they were upset, like, why did you come in? So the nurse, she grabbed my hand and she said, you know what? I want to apologize to you because you were right. Like, you came in yesterday and you were right. You were having a miscarriage. And I just want to apologize to you because I don't know, maybe we could have prevented this had we. She didn't say what I'm about to say, but maybe we could have prevented this had we believed you. And not just brush your ass off and bitch, why the fuck you coming here because C-19 going on and we not trying to get sick because your black ass up in here trying to get seen. That's what it was giving. That ain't what she said, but she was basically like, you know what I'm saying? I apologize because maybe we could have prevented it from happening had we, did what we were supposed to do on our end. So she pretty much confirmed that I had miscarried the baby. And she told me that someone else will be coming in to discuss the rest of the process of how the baby or like the fetus or whatever will be removed from my body. So I had the option of going into surgery or I had the option of naturally letting it like pass through my body. I picked the natural option. I didn't want to deal with the hospital anymore. I didn't like it. I was uncomfortable. I felt like I wasn't being treated fairly. It took them forever. Y'all, I didn't get pain medication until right before I left. 30 minutes before I left. And I had been there for several hours. I didn't get any pain medication. I don't know what the fuck that was about. Part of me, again, giving them the benefit of the doubt. I'm like, okay, maybe it was because they needed to run tests and lab results. And girl, that's bullshit. They could have gave me a little Advil or something, bitch. I was in there going through it. Anyway, so yeah, when I found out, I was boohoo crying. The woman who came in to talk to me about the processes, either naturally passing the baby or getting a surgery, she was kind of smirking at me. Like, I was sitting there crying and she was kind of smirking. At the time, I was really upset, but looking back on it, some people deal with or like process death differently, especially if they're not directly like related to you or like they don't know you on that type of level. Some people just process death a little differently. I don't know what the fuck was funny. I don't know if she really thought something was funny or if she didn't know what to say or I don't know, whatever. So yeah. Okay, so we talked about the miscarriage part. Hopefully, this is gonna be a long episode, you guys. Okay, so I had the miscarriage. My sister actually came and picked me up. My big sister. Um, at the time, I was staying with my partner. We were staying with his mother. So I went back to their house and I took a shower and I was upset. I was upset. Oh my God, I was upset. And I was upset with God, y'all. We don't get into it. I was pissed. I was pissed. All right? This how it went. I'm like, all right, God. Because I have conversations with God like this. Because we just have that type of relationship. I don't know if you do, but I do. Right? I'm like, first of all, I didn't even want this baby. Right? I didn't necessarily, I'm not gonna say I ain't want it, but I wasn't, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't trying to be no mama right here. So you give me this baby, right? I'm like, damn, I don't know what the fuck to do with this information. I become happy. I become excited. I picked out a name. At this point, I'm in this shit. At this point, I'm in it. I'm like, I got a name picked out. I made t-shirts. I'm excited. I'm planning the gender reveal. I'm doing all the things. And you just take it from me. I was very confused. I was very upset. I wasn't even thinking about the stress that I was under at that time or, like the physical fights and the abuse and stuff that was happening. None of that was registering in my head. I was just very displeased with God. I did not want to talk to God. I did not want to talk to the divine. I was upset and I said that shit out loud. I said that shit in the shower. I'm like, God, I'm mad at you. Like, I don't know. It was hard for me. I'm like, how could you do that? I'm confused. Like, I know things happen for a reason, but damn, this shit kind of hurt. This shit kind of hurted. And I don't know. I've always processed like death differently too. It just depended on like who died. Like I've had family members that died that I wasn't as close with, so it didn't. I'm not gonna say directly affect me. Well, I guess like it didn't directly affect me a lot emotionally or like mentally, but when it's you or when it's like someone that's really close to you, it feels a little different. So yeah. Also I want to talk about feeling abandoned during the grieving stages in the actual physical part of the miscarriage. So like I said, I was pretty much left there at the hospital, right? I know I'm an adult, I'm a grown ass woman, all that shit, but it takes two to have a child, and I don't know. I think this was one of those times where I know for a fact that they could have called off. My partner at the time could have called off because they said that. So I'm not just saying this because I was in my feelings about it and like I wanted things to go my way. This is something that we've talked about. They could have definitely called off or missed work to make sure that I was okay and to help me during this process. Because this is our baby together, but they decided not to. That was their decision. So, but they made that decision for their life, their whatever, but it still affected me negatively because I felt abandoned. And I felt like, okay, I got pregnant by you. This is your baby. We lay down together. We lay down together all the time. Okay, now I'm grieving. I know that you don't understand. Maybe you're happy, or maybe you're not. Maybe you don't care. I don't know. And you're not saying anything. And then on top of you not saying anything, you don't be there. You're not showing up. So that was pretty hard, right? So it was times where like I would just randomly kind of like cry and they would get upset. Oh my God. But it's you know what I'm saying? I was upset. I was pretty upset. I was that process was really hard for me. Um, and I think I was upset. It was a lot of reasons why I was upset. Um, like I said, I didn't feel like I was being heard. Like I went to the hospital. I went to UAB. They they treated me like shit. I don't know. They treated me like shit. Actually, I got my Facebook pulled up. So I'm gonna read something that I wrote because I went to my Facebook to try to go back and like find the dates to clarify like the dates I was pregnant and stuff. But bitch, I don't fucking remember. It's in my old phone. I don't feel like charging it right now. All right, so I'm gonna read a couple. Wow, that was disgusting. I'm gonna read a couple statuses here. So in October of 2020, I said, I honestly hate UAB. I'm telling the nurses I'm fucking bleeding. That's normal. Same shit they said when I had my miscarriage. I'm 6 months. I hate going to their ass. I gotta beg them to check my baby. I shouldn't have to do that. At that time, I was pregnant with my daughter Sage, right? Let me see. So in June 11th of 2020, I shared a status of I think it was like a thread. This thread is the type of treat. It says this type of treatment has to stop. Here are a few things that you can do to have a more empowered birth. So this particular post included things of, like how to hire a birth doula, how to ask more questions, considering having a home birth, um, finding a good provider for like cesareans or whatever, attending childbirth education classes, just everything to pretty much help you have a better birth because truthfully, women and specifically black women, we are not treated fairly in these spaces when we have children. We're not. So we're treated horrible, y'all. Okay. So anyway, I said I went to UAB and I told them I was cramping and bleeding. The nurses and doctor looked at me like I wasn't shit and asked me why would I come to the hospital at 3 a.m. for cramping and spotting. I had to beg them for an ultrasound, which I did, to check my baby's heartbeat and to make sure everything was okay. They sent me home. I came back the next fucking day, blood literally dripping on the floor. As I'm being admitted into my room, all the nurses were impatient and rude. I cried and I was in pain the entire time. It took them 7 hours to give me an ultrasound, which confirmed I had miscarried. I was in pain and extremely emotional. I didn't get pain medicine until 30 minutes before I left. Y'all, I'm not lying to y'all. Nobody took me serious. And the more I cried about losing my fucking child, the more impatient they became. And bitch, and bitch, when I tell you I did not feel heard, when I tell you I did not feel empowered, when I tell you I felt so alone, I felt so abandoned, I felt so low during that process. And then on top of me trying to process why I even had the goddamn miscarriage, I'm not thinking about the stress. I'm not thinking about, like I said, the fights, all the things that was happening prior to. I'm like, am I not enough? I'm asking God, like, am I not enough? Am I not good enough to have a baby? You know? I thought I was good in the hood. Like, what's going on? Like, am I not well enough? Am I not good enough to bear children? This was really how I felt at that time. Um, I didn't start the grieving process until around May. So May of that year, I had the miscarriage in March. So May of that same year, that is when I started the grieving process. That is when I acknowledged that I was actually grieving. So let me just clear that up. But in May, Mother's Day was coming up, May 10th. Um, Mother's Day. Um, I spent Mother's Day with well, I didn't say I spent it with my mom, but I was living with my mom at the time. I was actually painting a self portrait. It was the first self portrait that I've ever painted. The first portrait that I've ever painted, you guys. So very proud of it, period. And I was painting it, and I was in my mom's basement, and I was lighting incense, sage. I was listening to music, doing all the things. And I that was kind of like me grieving a little bit. Like I was just painting. I was just putting all of my emotions, my pain. I was crying, my emotions, my happiness, just trying to process it all. And I'm so very proud of that painting, by the way, y'all. But yeah, I was just that was my grieving process, just trying to like really figure it out. And then I was so angry with my partner. I think we had broke up at that time too. So, but I was like trying to look at it in a positive way, like, oh yeah, I dodged a bullet, blah blah blah. Just trying to make sense of what had happened. Even though I still got pregnant multiple times after that. That's another thing. I still got pregnant right after that. Ain't that crazy? So, um, so yeah, I was pretty much grieving. Also, years after that, I wrote down two in my notes. I said, having others talk about my miscarriage and tell me how and why, not just me, tell other people how and why I had this miscarriage, right? So we're going to talk about that. I got on my own Facebook page and I told people that I had a miscarriage and I told people my experience. I didn't go live. No, I didn't have my podcast at the time. So, no, I wasn't like making hour-long videos where, really going into depth about what had happened. But I did share that I had a miscarriage. I wasn't afraid to share that. I wasn't scared to share that. It was the truth. It happened. But certain people got on social media, they're on platforms, and they would speak about my miscarriage, and the way that they would speak about it would be so insensitive, right? I can see if, and I know that you may not like me, right? Like, for whatever your reasons are, whether you don't like me because of who I am as a person, or you don't like me because we may be dealing with the same individual, you what am I trying to say? I can understand that, but what I don't understand is you really don't you really don't know. You're just kind of going off assumptions, and you're kind of coming up with these false narratives and these reasons because it's helping you cope with how my pregnancy and my miscarriage triggered or affected you, right? So, and then, like I said, the main part was being insensitive. You understand what I'm saying? Because it's women who I'm not fond of, but at the same time, I'm not. I try not to be insensitive to other people because I'm still a woman at the end of the day, right? Like, I haven't had all of the same experiences as other people, but I don't be insensitive about other people's experience or experiences because I feel like it makes me better or it makes me look better. That's crazy. Like, for example, saying that, because I still don't know. I have my own reasons. I have spiritual reasons why I feel like I had this miscarriage. I have physical reasons. I have health reasons. I have all of these reasons. And the reasons that God and the divine kind of told me straight up or gave me or nudged at me as to why these things happen. But to just get get somewhere and say, okay, you had this miscarriage because you're this person. You're wicked and you're like this, and you know, blah 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 blah. It's like some of the things I want to read them, but it's like it doesn't even. I don't want to make it one of those episodes because this really about me. So, and I'm not trying to be messy. I'm just really, this is my experience, so I'm just really speaking from what I went through. But speaking about someone else's experience as if you can't go through the same thing, I want to say that, okay? So as women, we have to get better at that. We do. We do. Collectively, we have to get better at that. Okay? Because the things that we say to each other as women, it's very disgusting, it's very vile, it's very nasty. Especially when we can literally go through the same thing. If I had a miscarriage and you don't like me because we're dealing with the same person, or whatever your reasons are, or you may not even have a reason, honestly. What happened? Honestly. You may not have a reason, but don't be insensitive because the same thing can happen to you because you're still a woman and you still have a uterus, right? So the same things that you say about someone else, or the same reasons why you feel like someone else had a miscarriage, you're just making assumptions. Oh, well, this happened to her because, at the time I practiced like tarot and I was into spirituality. Oh, well, this happened because of this and da 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 da. No, you don't know why it happened. And it can happen to you. Just because you think that you're this amazing person, that doesn't mean that you won't experience miscarriage, right? So my mother had a miscarriage before. I've had a miscarriage. It's possible that my daughter could have a miscarriage in the future. I also have a son. It's possible that he could impregnate a woman and she have a miscarriage. I'm not going to be insensitive because I know personally how it feels to have a miscarriage. Let me say this. I don't know how it feels to have a stillborn or lose a child directly after birth. I don't know how that feels. But it would be insensitive for me to get on a platform and to make jokes or to imply that someone lost their child because of outside factors that doesn't even matter, especially when you're not factoring in, okay, well, this person may have this health issue, or they may be under a lot of stress, or this may be a factor that is affecting it. You're just saying this because, or you just coming up with dumbass reasons because you don't like somebody. That's sick and that's crazy, and I want all of us as women to stop. I'm seeing this a lot now with like single motherhood and stuff. Like a lot of women, a lot of us, I'm not gonna say us, but a lot of women I see make jokes. It's like, oh, y'all bitches, y'all single mothers and blah 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 blah. You don't really before I say that, I'm gonna say this. Nobody really a lot of us, I'm not gonna say nobody, but it's a lot of us, majority of us do not choose to be single mothers. I just want to make that clear. Nobody is choosing to be no single mother, baby. It happens, right? Because you're irresponsible, because you didn't properly vet the man that you were having sex with, or that person showed their representative and the whole time, and then when you got pregnant, they showed their ass and they did. That's what happens. It's plenty of women that are married and that are still single mothers. And I'm not saying any of this because I feel attacked and I'm triggered and I just need to, you know what I'm saying, like rep for the baby mamas. But we got to be honest, okay? So for the women that don't have children, don't be so quick to make the jokes on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all these places about how single women, you guys are so fucking stupid. I would never be a single woman until a man marries me. Girl, he can marry you and have a child with you and literally decide the next day that he is no longer attracted to you and he thinks you look like an alien with something growing inside of your body. He doesn't understand. He becomes impatient because he doesn't understand your food aversions and he no longer wants to be with you. Literally. And then what? You'll be a single mother. Girl, very insensitive. As women, we have to remember to not be insensitive to one another because we all can have that same experience. Do not be insensitive about a woman that had a miscarriage. If you do not like that girl, that's okay. Don't like her for your reason, but don't be insensitive either because you're still a woman at the end of the day. I'm not saying accept her bullshit. I'm not saying if she's truly and honestly a horrible person, you just rally behind her and you do all that cheering and just, in her degeneracy. That's not what I said. I'm saying don't be insensitive though. Sharing a post that someone made because they needed to validate and they needed false reasons to help them cope with why my pregnancy and miscarriage affected them. Sharing something like that, it could be insensitive. First of all, it's insensitive to because you don't know why this person even made this status. So it's insensitive towards the person that it's about. One, two, you're also sharing it because you know somebody that had a miscarriage, either your old friend, a bitch you don't like, somebody fucking with your baby daddy, somebody, and you just sharing it to be what the fuck? You're being insensitive, boo. Don't be insensitive, ladies. It's not a good look. Okay, it kind of fucks up our sisterhood that needs to be established. We need a better, stronger foundation and a stronger sisterhood through this shit. Okay. Anyway, that was a tangent. That was a lot. I just went on, and went on, and went on, and on and on. I might make a part two to this because I might have to clarify some things and clear some things up. Maybe come with some receipts, some evidence, some facts, some truth. Talk about some more things. Get into some things. If you enjoyed this episode, please let me know in the comment section down below. If you want a part two to this, you want me to get more into depth, you want me to talk about something else, please let me know. Put that in the comment section down below. Also, you can email xbmapodcast@gmail.com if you have any podcast, video, episode, um, questions or suggestions that you want to make. Go ahead and shoot me a message, girl. Let me know. Let's get into some things, all right? I appreciate you listening to this episode. This was a pretty long episode. I'm not gonna edit it. I'm just gonna upload it and fuck it. We're gonna see how it go. Um, Happy Mother's Day. It is Mother's Day today, I believe. Let me check. Is it Mother's Day? I told y'all I'm bad with endings. We'll get there. Actually, no. Mother's Day is Sunday. So, happy early Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to all the women. Okay? Remember to not be insensitive towards the next woman. Okay? If you don't like this woman, that's okay. You don't have to like her. But don't be insensitive, especially when it comes down to things that you can experience yourself. And then if you have experienced it, be willing to talk about it and share your experiences. Because I know a lot of times we go through things and we feel like, okay, well, I went through that and nobody was there for me. Nobody helped me during that process. So I don't really give a fuck because nobody cared about me. We have to get out of that mindset too, because it kind of hinders our growth. It stops our growth. And it also doesn't allow us to, like I said, it doesn't allow us to heal and to allow the people around us or other people that may be going through that to heal too. Because we're all here to help each other. So anyway, y'all, like I said, I hope you guys like this episode. I'm bad with goodbyes. I'm horrible with goodbyes, okay? But happy Mother's Day to all the single mothers. I hope y'all have an amazing time. I hope that y'all kid free. I hope you kid free for Mother's Day, period. All right? Say it with me. F them churn. We're going to talk about this too. Let's talk about that real quick. If we want to spend Mother's Day without our kids, let us do that. We have our children every day. We want to go get some mimosas, girl. We want to get drunk. We want to chill. We want to relax. We want one day where we don't have to get the kids ready, do everything for them, and then celebrate ourselves at the end. Girl, bye. Enjoy your Mother's Day, honey. I'm going to go ahead and upload this. I'm not going to edit it. I don't know what happened. If you listen this long, I love you and I appreciate you. Make sure that you subscribe to the podcast on all platforms. We're on Anchor, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts. Sometimes I upload to YouTube. I'll be sharing this to Facebook. If you enjoyed this podcast episode, please share it with your friends, family, and all, everybody who you love, everybody, just share it with somebody, okay? We need to have these conversations. Let's get into the comment section below and get into some things. Anyway, love y'all, and I'll see y'all the next episode, okay? Bye.